I don't know.
Hey, it was me, mate, I think.
Oh, can you hear
It
me?
was me. I
All
can hear you
right.
now, loud and clear. How are you?
Oh, good. I'm good.
Yeah? I haven't spoke to
Um,
you. I haven't spoke to you since Bali,
I
have
know
we?
it's been a while. It has been a
Our,
while.
our sauna session in Bali, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're back home now,
back home now, mate. Yeah, yeah.
obviously.
Back home. Obviously, we can't move anywhere at the minute, so left Bali.
Yeah.
So I've been at home since lockdown and everything. So, yeah, I mean, Ben, yeah, the whole point of this, you've probably seen it, is just literally 10 minutes
Yeah.
just to cut the fat on mental health, and I'm basically getting people that that I've met in my life that are inspiring and that have probably gone through some mental health issues in their past. Just to help people maybe going through the same situation as they did previously.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to start by just telling everyone a little bit about you, like what you do for your work now. What's your profession? What do you do?
Yeah. So I do a lot of things, but a director, producer, performer, and yeah, work mainly in theatre and the performing arts, so the creative sector.
Mm,
I've been doing that for over 24 years. So it's been a
Jesus,
very long time. Yeah, I
nearly,
know.
nearly as old as me, mate.
Shut up. And yeah, and so I've just been, doing that for many years, and it's been an interesting journey, particularly recently with all the COVID stuff, to go from being live performance to um, nothing, and
Mm,
then to a virtual landscape.
yeah,
And that was really hard to adjust, actually, in terms of transitioning from having a full year of work set up to overnight losing all of it. So I lost
nothing.
about $40,000 worth of work
Mm,
um, overnight, and I think that really affected me mentally, actually,
no, yeah,
thinking about all of that stuff. And I don't know if many people know, but the government here is not very supportive of the arts,
yeah. So
and
so where
so
where are you, mate? Sorry, just for anyone who doesn't
I'm
know.
in Darwin, yeah, Darwin,
Yeah, in
Northern
Darwin,
Territory,
in
Australia.
Australia. Yeah, yeah,
So one of the very top of Australia, 2 hours from Indonesia,
yeah. Mm,
and quite a small town. So, that really affected me. I hit a pretty big low during COVID,
mm,
and had to work really hard to pull myself out of a really dark place.
mm.
And luckily, up here in Darwin now, we have probably the lowest restrictions in the country. So,
Oh, that's good.
um, yeah, it's been good.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel, mate. Hopefully, all
It
this
is.
ends a little ends sooner rather than later now. So like, yeah, if you want to get into it, Ben, like, could you talk about a time when maybe your mental health was affected the most, in maybe a few years ago, it might have been during COVID, when it was affected the most, that someone watching this might be able to relate to, maybe. If you could share that experience, that'd
Yeah.
be amazing, mate.
Well, I think definitely one of the main parts was during COVID,
Mm,
and I think I dealt with it by not dealing with it, and
mm,
so I think I really used it to kind of surrender, and I was drinking quite a bit and partying quite a bit, and just kind of thought, like, stuff it. I'm just gonna there's no light at the end of the tunnel, like you're saying. So
mm.
what? I might as well just have fun, drink a lot, party a lot, in isolation with my flatmate, and then basically learnt from that that's not sustainable. That's not the not the way to do it. And
Yeah.
so I very quickly hit a pretty dark spot, and had really dark thoughts about ending my life and things like that. So, I had to really shift my change. And it's not the first time that I've been in a dark place before, so I knew how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I kind of know the signs for me. So it's really, I'm very grateful that I've been able to pull myself out of that dark place. And, the main thing I did was obviously remove anything that was causing any anxiety. So I stopped watching the news, I stopped watching the TV, I stopped drinking alcohol. I started fitness again. I was outside more. And so I was just engaging with life again, instead of being so kind of caught up in the hysteria of everything. And, as I said, we were very lucky up in Darwin, because we don't have a lot of cases, but we also have a lot of space, and we're able to
Mm,
get outdoors and do a lot of things outdoors. So
yeah.
that was kind of something that really helped me, was getting back into my fitness, removing myself from watching the news. Like I actually still now don't watch the news that much. I think that it can be a very bad anxiety producing element.
Mm.
Hi, Kate. Yeah, so that was something that I really learned was to acknowledge what was causing anxiety and to try and reduce that from my life. So,
And it's amazing that obviously yeah, you can talk about this and talk about your suicidal thoughts. And you know,
mm,
I think a lot of people, I know, especially talking from my perspective, I've been in a place where I've thought about it, and the more intrusive thoughts and
mm,
actual actionable thoughts, I think they get more extreme with different people. But for anyone watching who's having these thoughts, you're not alone in these thoughts. I think often people think, I'm having these negative thoughts about taking my own life.
mm, mm,
I feel so alone, when in reality there's so many people that may be going through the same stuff as you, and that's why it's so important that you've mentioned that there. So hats off to you, Ben.
mm,
That's amazing, mate. And then yeah, so you talked about that. You talk about coping with it, coping mechanisms. You spoke briefly about alcohol and the effect it
yeah,
had on you. I mean, that it feels like with alcohol and these vices, when you've got a problem, it's like a spring. It just pushes the spring down, pushes the spring down, pushes the spring down, and then when it finally gives, the spring explodes, and then
yeah.
all this stuff comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, you have to, be aware of that. And something that you said is really important is that there's always someone to talk to. I think
Mm,
if you feel that there isn't, there's always someone that you can reach out to. And it's really hard because when you're in that place, you feel like that there isn't, but there are people, whether it's your friends, family, but also organizations that are there to help people. So, I think that talking about it is always a really good thing because you're speaking it,
mhm.
and that's a part of also acknowledging it. Because I think that you're in your head, there's lots of stuff goes on in your head, and I think sometimes it's just good to get it out.
Mm.
I've done like a lot of meditation for many years. I've done yoga, and so that really helps me to kind of help center my mind as well,
Yeah.
and just really be able to calm my thoughts because our brain does work a million miles an hour, and we do feed it with a lot of stuff, whether it's on our phones or our televisions, or our brains are taking it all in.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, and, and,
you
and, and you and you
know,
mentioned earlier about getting away from media, and media is your phone as well. You go on Instagram these days, and there's so many different contrasted stories. I'd even say Instagram's more of a head mess than normal media. At least on the TV, you're only getting one source of media, whereas on Instagram or
yeah,
Facebook, you're getting about 50 types of media, and your head's fried. Yeah, so mate,
yeah,
we've only got about 4 minutes left, but I want to talk about you spoke about then losing a bit of financial stability during COVID. You
mm,
mentioned that you lost a potential of $40,000 that you thought was
mm,
guaranteed from the bookings.
mm,
I can completely get that. A lot of people would have probably had the same situation and
mm.
maybe going through that similar situation. So for you, how did you cope with that, and how did you get to the point of accepting that and overcoming the thoughts of losing that financial stability?
I think a big part of it is always acknowledging it. And for
Mm,
me, the way that I live my life as well is that there's always options. There's always, option A, B, C, and D. And one thing that my dad did say to me when I left home at 17 to go and pursue the arts,
mhm,
he said, "You can always come home." And that's always really stuck with me because it's made in a bigger sense. The meaning behind that is that, no matter what you go and risk or you go and do or take on, there's always something to return to, or there's always another option.
mm,
So, that's always stuck with me, and that's always allowed me to be really adventurous. It's allowed me to take risks. It's allowed me
mm,
to not worry about, I always say to someone, if you go out for what it is that you want, like nothing is impossible, and you're not going to know unless you give it a go. And I
yeah.
really love. He also used to, he's an avid fisherman, and he used to take me fishing, and he used to like throw me in, like when I was, he'd throw us in the deep end, basically, like literally.
Yeah,
And so, so I've always learned that, you sink or swim.
yeah,
And
no,
so I've always
100%.
learned, you will always swim. So,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I love that saying as well. You go home, and that could be. go home to a family if you've got a family. And I mean, if you haven't got a family,
Mm.
that could mean, going home to yourself.
Exactly. Yes.
If you do lose your way, without all the external factors, the cars, the job, the
Mm.
money, you're always
Mm.
going to be here. You're always going to come back to
Yeah.
yourself. And as you said
Yeah.
earlier, meditation, yoga is a great way to do that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I always just say to people, just do what you feel, live your life. It's not a dress rehearsal. This is real.
Yeah.
And, just I love things that are really, risky. I love things that challenge me. I actually, it's a part of me now that I actually really, I get the adrenaline from it, is like taking those big risks and, pushing yourself, because you're not going to grow as a human being unless you do.
No, 100%. That's amazing. You couldn't have said it any better, mate. And I know 100% people who'll be watching this will definitely have
Mm.
gone through those financial hardships, especially
Yeah.
over the last few months. So, this is going to definitely help some people. I've definitely gone through financial hardships in this time, and just speaking to you and relating to your stories made me feel a little bit better already. So you've already helped one person,
Mm.
Ben. You've already helped me,
Oh,
so that's
good.
amazing, mate. So thanks for that. But yeah, that's 10-minute Mondays, mate. Cutting the fat on
Oh,
on mental health, and there we go. Just short and sweet and to the point,
well, thanks for having me, and thanks
mate.
for tuning in, everyone. Miss
Mate,
you.
it's been too long, hasn't it?
I
We
know.
should do our own
I know.
private ones, shouldn't we?
We
Our own
will. Yes, we'll
private reunion
FaceTime
ones. All
soon.
right, mate. All right. Thank you so
All
much for
right.
coming
Love
on, mate.
you.
Sending
All
love,
right.
mate. Love
Bye.
you. Bye.